I mean, Columbus wanted to go to India and he failed, but it still wasn't a success.
So which is more satisfying, especially maybe when you were earlier in your career? Is it more satisfying to find a problem that you think you can solve, or to find a problem that you think, I don't think I can solve this? Which is more attractive?
Well, it's of course more attractive to find a problem you can solve because you have to earn a living afterwards.
That's
Uh,
very
and
practical.
well, but I think the question is not whether you can solve it, but whether you find something interesting.
Right.
I mean, Columbus wanted to go to India and he failed, but it still wasn't a success.
So is that how you felt when you proved Mordell's conjecture very, very early? Were you weren't expecting to be able to prove it? You thought you'd find something, and then, ooh, there's America.
Yes, yes, I was surprised, but well, sometimes in life, you have pleasant surprises.
Yes, I was wondering, because you had that huge success very young, what did you learn from that process, that experience that you've carried forward in your career?
Well, I mean, I proved Mordell and I was 27 years old, and I thought that's not really the time to retire. And well, I mean, as a mathematician, you always have to look for interesting problems where you think you have a chance to solve it. And in the Mordell conjecture, there were some things which sort of I made, as mathematicians say, handmade proofs. I mean, you just get something together, and I wanted to understand these things better, and I got a more canonical proofs for, I mean, for complexifying moduli spaces and for periodic Hodge theory.
So the approach of bringing things together and seeing if they fit and finding something new, is that something you've carried on throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, you always hope to find something new, and I mean, and I always looked at problems where I thought I could make a difference. And also, I don't like really crowded fields. I prefer to work alone and don't have to wait to look at each day whether somebody else solved it. And I mean, and during my career, I have always found such problems which were interesting. And I mean, they were not spectacular like Mordell, but I was satisfied.
You mentioned already, Nastold, who was, I think, your supervisor
Yeah.
also, and his friend Szpiro. What kind of influence, did they have on your career?
Yeah, Nastold was a nice person, and he advised me to read Grothendieck, and which I did. And some people didn't like him because he wrote several hundred pages always. But somebody said, I mean, it was locally trivial, which meant sort of, I mean, there were no surprising things. You thought, well, he just adds obvious lines, but then at the end he proved a big theorem. So this really impressed me.
And Szpiro, you have said before that you thought Szpiro was working in a slightly different direction to other people, and as you say, that it wasn't crowded, that people weren't paying as much attention to him, and you thought, "Actually, I think there's something here," and went for it.
Well, I mean, Szpiro popularized Arakelov theory, and he had the ideas about model for function fields and positive characteristic that came down to proving vanishing theorems. And and then I talked to him and I thought it's something interesting and I can do something. And it was clear that, I mean, that what he did wouldn't be sufficient to prove Mordell. There were some things missing, like the Kodaira-Spencer class, which and then I thought about this, and the first thing I managed to prove was the Tate conjecture. The Tate conjecture says that let's see, the Galois representation for an abelian variety is a commutator of the endomorphisms, and it means you have to construct many endomorphisms. And Tate did this over finite fields. If you have an abelian variety and sort of a subspace of the Galois representation, you divide by the spaces by the stages of this subspace by algebraic groups, and then you look at the quotient, and if you see that there are only finitely many of them, then you get endomorphisms. And in Tate's case, in principle, it was clear that there were only finitely many because the modular space of Abelian varieties can only have finitely many rational points over a finite field. But he had difficulties with polarizations and had to work hard. But this was solved later by Sahin, who proved, how to handle polarizations. And then I tried Sahin's approach. I tried this from number fields. And then you again have to quotient a Abelian variety by a group scheme. And and there's a notion of the height of an Abelian variety, which measures the complexity, and if the height is bounded, then there are only finitely many left.
That was something also you had to solve, wasn't it? You had to say this definition of height doesn't quite work here. I want to try I assume it's that because there is now a thing called the Faltings height. So you must have invented a new way to approach that.
It doesn't really deserve my name. The height for function field, the height you need an ample line bundle, and for the modular space of a Abelian variety, you have the line bundle omega, which gives the highest degree differentials on the universal Abelian variety, and so it was clear that this omega had to be a good choice. And then in arithmetic, you have to put a square and a norm on this omega. And it was rather obvious what to do. You take the square integration of the differentials. And so I think it was very natural to take this. The problem was to prove that it was really a height function. But there are many things were known. It has logarithmic singularities, and it's not so bad.
So was there a moment when you were working on it and you went, if I can solve this and solve this and solve this, then I will have proved Mordell's conjecture? Could you see ahead, if you like, to the end of the process, or were you going, here's a problem, I've solved this, oh no, now there's a new problem, and then suddenly find at the end?
No, I don't have a big strategy. In this case, I knew that I would have to bound the height of quotients, and there was a formula for the height, and there are two things happening. One thing is that you have square integration, you integrate about a smaller space, so the number goes down, and on the other hand, the integral differentials also become fewer, and then it turned out that these two effects tend to cancel by some miracle, and this way I got the Tate conjecture, and then this also worked for other finite groups, and then I got everything.
And the rest, as they say, is arithmetic geometry. Well, would you tell me what somebody in your position, you could have just said, no, that's it, I'm here, I'm just going to work with the really clever people and just sit here and keep solving things. So what was it made you want to keep teaching?
Well, I had learned in Princeton, there's the Institute for Advanced Studies, and the guys there, some of them thought if they give a talk, it has to be a really big thing. And then they were afraid that they couldn't do this, and so they didn't talk anymore. And so I thought it's good to give lectures because then you have to give it, you have to talk each week and you have to present a topic. And so it's good for you. It's like workout.
So it's part of your thinking process is to
Yeah.
prepare the talk and
Yeah. Well, you always you have to think about things anew, and maybe sometimes, if you talk on Tuesday, you find out on Monday evening that you have overlooked something, and then you have to fix it, and so it's a good exercise.
well, let's just finish maybe by asking you what if you had somebody now who was embarking on a PhD or thinking about a PhD and asked for your advice uh, about how to choose a topic or a supervisor or just general advice for their career, what would you tell them?
Well, how to choose a topic, it is usually the job of the PhD advisor.
So choose the advisor first.
Yeah, but you should look at the advisor which you like. Well, and do the mathematics which you like. I've always said this. You shouldn't look at the time look where you might get an Abel prize, but you should just choose a topic which you like.